Hey, this is Lance McGowan
Molly Simpson.
and today we're going to talk about the Young Living versus doTERRA lawsuit outcome part 7. So if you haven't watched the previous versions and series of these videos, make sure to do that. I'll have the links in the description. But otherwise, we're going to cover the Young Living announcement or the Young Living press release. So to kind of get the other side of the coin as to what happened and what it means for you, whether you're with Young Living or not, or with doTERRA or not, or if you're just on the fence and you're just like, what's going on here? And so that's going to be really important. And the purpose of this whole video series is to give you the facts and help educate you so you can make an educated decision. And the reason why is because there was a lot of misinformation out there. There was a lot of lack of information and
Old information.
old information, thank you. And there was a lot of misperceptions of things. And so we can only perceive things based on what is our own reality, based on how we were raised, or what we believe in, our values and all that stuff. And so it's so important to kind of align on the facts and provide some clarity on that, and that's the whole purpose of this as well. And another big reason why we're doing these videos is because of the demand. And so whether that's locally at our classes or online, people want to know the truth, and people want to hear about what really happened, because that could affect their purchasing decisions in the future, or which company they stand for, or ultimately what their view and perception is of each company. And so it's so important for us as educators to give that information, even if people don't like it or don't believe in it, because it's about giving the truth, whether you like it or not. But obviously, doing so in a nice way, or something, a way that's still, focused on the facts. All right, so now we're going to go over the Young Living announcement or the press release. And so this is kind of, we're just reading off what happened on their announcement on their website. Again, I'll have links in the description so you can check it out and get all the details yourself. All right, so Young Living announced the 4 former Young Living employees who are now doTERRA executives and distributors, David Sterling, Emily Wright, Justin Harrison, and Lillian Shepard, were found not liable for breaching the non-solicitation provisions in their employment agreements. So I'm going to kind of say that again. They were found not liable for breaching the non-solicitation provisions in their employment agreements. And so they have basically a contract as a distributor or a executive where they cannot basically call upon or cross-recruit anybody from their previous company, and they have to honor that. And so Young Living's website just said that they did not breach that. And so that's huge, because I know some people are like, actually one comment from a woman, she was just like, yeah, they actually called me in 2009. And I was just like, well, where's the facts? You still have to have proof of evidence, right? And
Well, I would also say that there was a specific amount of time, and after that time passed, then they would be allowed to do it. So
Sure.
in 2009, doTERRA was, formed in 2008. So possibly she could have been. We don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying there's an amount of time that you have to wait after you leave one company before you solicit for another company.
Exactly. And in the previous videos it showed what those contracts were, I guess in a nutshell, but typically they're like 6 months to 1 year. So it just depends if you're a distributor or an executive. But yeah, so they did not breach that time frame with regards to what position they held. And so that is really huge.
The defendants chose to defend themselves not by allowing the complete story to be told, but by disparaging Young Living and attempting character assassination of our founders, Gary and Mary Young.
Those are some strong words, right? Character assassinations. But at the same time, what was revealed in the previous parts and even the court transcripts that we have talked about, the equal pay for equal work issue that came up with regards to Emily Wright not being paid what her male counterparts were as a corporate executive, and Gary not honoring that, and then David Sterling, the CEO of doTERRA, being fired because of that, basically trying to help her, get up to par with regards to that. And I believe it's just, it shouldn't matter if you're a woman, a man, what nationality you are, what age you are, it shouldn't matter. You should get paid equal pay for equal work. And, granted, there's different educational levels for people and different work experience, and I get that part, but you shouldn't be, I guess, discriminated upon because of how you were born.
Right. And according to the court transcripts that we did get, and what Emily Wright, now owner of doTERRA, the only female owner and once executive of Young Living, under oath, she, made these, she said under oath what was said by Mary Young to her. I don't think as a, owner of a very large corporation that she would say something that wasn't true, and that
Right.
she didn't, it wouldn't be worth it to her to say something that was untrue.
Yeah, and again, the Young Living side is like they felt like their character was being assassinated or being attacked. But the question also comes up is, what is the character that allowed something like that to happen, right? And so yes, you shouldn't attack anyone, right? But at the same time, if there are some gaps in what was said, or there's just something that isn't right per se from like an equal pay, equal work standpoint, it needs to be brought up. And what you do will be based on what you believe, and what you believe will be based on your values and who you are from a character standpoint. So it is kind of all tied together. And I know a lot of people who are like, they love Gary and stuff like that. And, we're not trying to, put him down, but at the same time, this is, we're focusing on the problem and issue, not the person per se in this regard.
Right. Yes, it's very true. What you say and what you do are two different things. And I'm sure we all run into that many times that,
Sure.
Someone tells us they believe this or they'll do this and then they don't, and it's an issue for anyone.
Yeah, that happens all the time, right? The choice to make personal attacks was a tactic to deliberately deflect the focus of the case, the alleged broken promises and breaches of contract. So in the very beginning, we just noted that Young Living said that there was no breaches in contract, and now they're kind of going back and saying, hey, they attacked Gary and Mary, and now they made these attacks to kind of divert the focus of the breaches of the contract. So, I mean, without having the transcript of what they actually said, it's kind of, he said, she said in this press release here.
Right.
The actual court trial transcript is available, and so we'll have some information on how you could get a copy of that as well, so you can kind of get the facts for yourself, and see and compare, like, is this really being lined up? And, at the end of the day, if you're with Young Living or you're for Young Living or whatever the situation is, and you see this information, even after you get the facts, and you don't like it or you don't believe in it, you have a choice to make, right? You can continue to, support the company because you're loyal, right? And that's fine. Or you could say, hey, this conflicts with my values or beliefs or whatever it is, and I want to make a different decision. And so, but again, it's all up to you what you want to do. We're not here to say do this or do that. We're just providing the information here. And I know for me, like, that's the choice you'd have with anything in life once you get more information.
Right. Very true. We believe that we were not successful in this case because of certain technicalities and pre-trial rulings.
And so Young Living basically admits that they had obviously 13 allegations that were brought up in, the other press release from doTERRA, and none of those were being able to prove to be true because they weren't able to provide the evidence, the proof of evidence for those things. And so Young Living is basically saying, hey, it was technicalities and pretrial rulings that didn't allow us to get the information that we really wanted to bring to the case.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they had a lot of time. They had 5 years, and they should have had their information and their everything ready and available for the court at the time,
Especially
before it expired.
Yeah, and get the facts straight, line them up, get them ready. If it was that much of a priority, yeah, definitely.
We were unable to tell the full story as many key claims and pieces of evidence were not allowed into evidence due to the expiration of the statutes of limitations and certain court rulings. And
so, yeah, there is a little bit of, I want to say, vagueness here on the exact things that, is it 5 years or is it 2 years or is it 3 years, based on the local court laws on how long you have to wait before you bring something to trial. But at the end of the day, they were not able to produce the information that was being requested. And so if something that you believe happened to you, that you didn't think was right, and you wanted to bring it to court to, seek justice, you have to have proof of evidence, and you have to do it in a time frame that is, aligned with the court. I mean, that's just it. You can't say, oh, I I didn't know because you had lawyers, right? Or there
Right.
is, websites that on their website shows like their statute of limitations and what everything is. So it's not an educational aspect. I mean, there's people that they hire for that. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know, it just, if you're going to do something, you want to make sure that you have all the facts within the time frame that is expected of you in a court of law, I guess, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're trying to pursue something.
Right. Yeah, with a corporation that large, to have, attorneys, access to attorneys that can, guide them and handle this, then they should not have waited the 5 years to make these accusations so that they had time to present all the facts or all the, information that they said they had.
Right. Yep. Yep. Plain and simple, the real story of doTERRA's beginnings and the activities of its founders were not allowed into court, not because the judge or jury determined that doTERRA and its founders did not engage in that activity, but because Young Living simply waited too long under Utah law to bring these particular legal claims. And I know, there's people that have commented on my YouTube channel here, and they basically said, see, that goes to show that doTERRA was at fault, but Young Living wasn't able to bring it to the court case to, be tried and seen as the case. But at the same time, it goes back to our main point, like, if you feel like there was injustice and you did not have all of the facts, all the accurate facts, and follow the law based on what you're trying to get from the law, then that's kind of on you. I mean, it's, if you're going to bring something, you gotta be bringing it, right? I guess.
Can't cry about it later.
Right, exactly.
Our members who were solicited by doTERRA representatives were also not allowed to testify and tell their story.
The court allowed only the testimony of former Young Living members who left and became doTERRA distributors to be heard by the jury.
Because of that, the jury was unable to hear the entire truth, as well as the voices of Young Living distributors who refused to leave Young Living despite these solicitations.
Now, again, this doesn't talk about the transcript that happened in the trial, and it doesn't talk about the time frames, right? Because each distributor and corporate executive has a contract of no solicitation, or in this whole breach of contract, issue here. And so there's a time frame, 6 months to a year of, hey, you can't make any phone calls. And so even if somebody said, hey, I got that phone call, and it was within, 6 months of them leaving or within a year of them leaving, there also has to be proof of evidence. You can't just say something, right? And just because you don't like the other side or the company or whatever it is. So again, proof of evidence is going to be key. And
proof should be able to, you should be able to produce that proof, either through email, phone records. It shouldn't be too hard to produce that.
Yeah. I mean, there's texts, there's phone calls, there's emails. I mean, granted, somebody maybe didn't record the conversation if they got a call, but there should be some record of it, right?
From one number to another number.
Yeah, but granted, people change their phones roughly every 2 years, and so if they, Living waited, 4 or 5 years to bring the case, somebody would probably had like 2 or 3 different phones by then. So it's kind of, it's again going back to that. If you wait too long, then it either wasn't a priority or you didn't understand how it worked. Because I know that this isn't the first time that they went to trial. It was Young Living kind of versus doTERRA, and then it was kind of like Young Living versus these 4 people, basically, of doTERRA. So
yeah, because the evidence, there was not enough evidence between Young Living, to sue doTERRA for the claims that they made. So that was dropped and thrown out of court, and so that didn't happen. But then this started where they are suing the 4 individuals instead of the company themselves.
Right. Yeah, and I think this should be kind of a big like aha moment. It's like, hey, if you don't have the information to bring to court because you waited too long or whatever the reason is, and then the court said, hey, doTERRA's innocent, that outcome should be enough for you to draw the conclusion that, hey,
you're not going to have enough information or evidence in this case either.
Exactly. I mean, so the folks that are just like, well, yeah, I was solicited and this happened and yes and that, and it's just like, well, again, if the proof wasn't there for it and it was outside of their breach of contract, so it was past the time frame, then we're good. And in the very beginning, this press release, it even said they were not found. So it seems like even in the press release of Young Living, it's kind of like, yeah, they were found innocent of breaching contract, but at the same time, we didn't bring enough evidence, or we didn't have the evidence to bring because the court didn't allow us. So again, it's kind of a little bit more he said, she said at this point too.
Right. Yeah, because we don't know exactly what the court allowed unless we have those transcripts or we have more access to the people that were in the court or the attorneys that handled the case.
Right. And I know one other thing that kind of was brought up is like, hey, with regards to bringing information, like, yes, bringing information that supports your, outcome is one thing, which they felt like it wasn't able to do. But what if there was information that did not support your outcome? Would you still bring that to the table as well? And, that is a question. It's kind of like, do I want to bring information, even though it's facts, that doesn't make me look good and could affect the outcome? Or do I just want to say that I couldn't bring the information that would have made me look good because I just wasn't allowed to bring it? So, it's just kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of like not saying, is it a white lie, or you're not saying it, but not saying it is trying to show a different outcome or a different viewpoint because you omitted this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm bald, so do I say that, hey, I'm going to wear a wig and a toupee because I just want to highlight that I have hair, or do I just want to keep it real and just not wear anything and be like, hey, I'm bald? So it's just like, well, the bald may make me look less favorable or less youthful, if you want to call it that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's just...
You look fine either way, Lance. But
right, well,
you're not trying to hide. You just...
Yeah, I'm not trying to hide it. Keep it real, right?
Keep it real.
But if I was trying to, like, if I was going to like a hair club for men or something, and like, hey, you don't got no hair, so but you might be a good customer now because we help people get hair. But anyways, all right. So now we're going to cover the top 6 factors to consider because this came up in the actual trial, and these are all important things for you to think about whether you're with Young Living, with doTERRA, or with neither, and you're just outside looking in here. Number 1 is corporately owned farm percent of total. So of the total farms that are out there producing oils for each company, what percent is corporately owned? For Young Living, we don't know. It's a question mark. For doTERRA, it's 0%.
Mm-hmm. And corporately farm volume of total. So of those corporate farms, what percent of the oils come from those farms? Young Living, in the email that they sent to me, said that's proprietary information, so they would not give it. So still a question mark. We won't change that. And doTERRA is 0 because they don't own any of their own farms.
And in the actual, transcript, it was brought up that number for Young Living could be as low as 1% for the output. And so if, nothing has changed, that's still, it's advertised on the seed to seal with regards to, hey, we own some of our farms, but at the same time, what output is that, right? The next one is partnership farm volume percent of total. So if we don't know the corporately owned farm percent, then we won't know the partnership farm volume percent. So it's a question mark for Young Living. Mm-hmm. With doTERRA, it's 100% because they partner with farms all over the world, and that number is very transparent.
Right. Essential oil exclusivity percent of total. So Young Living is a question mark again because they don't announce that. They don't say that on their website. What contracts they have with the growers that they don't own the farms. Do they have exclusive contracts where those growers can't sell the essential oils to another company? Mm-hmm. doTERRA does have a 84% exclusivity on contracts with their partner farms, their growers, so that those farms can't sell the essential oils to any other company because doTERRA can pay them the fair trade wages, and they can also they can guarantee that they're going to buy all of everything that they produce so that they don't have any waste.
Yeah.
Which is important to the farmer because, if they're going to take the time and the money and the effort to grow, they want to be able to sell. So they're not going to sign an exclusive contract with a company unless they can guarantee that.
And the reason why this point is very, very important, because at first, we were hearing from Young Living folks, hey, we own our own farms. And then, with the trial and what came up, now folks are kind of saying, we never said we own, the Young Livings never said they own their own farms. But all the farms, whether partner or corporate, are held to the same standard of the seed to seal. Mm-hmm. But this particular number 4 points out that, hey, of those partnership farms, which sounds like it's the majority of the output and the non-ownership, mm-hmm. What percent are giving to other companies? Mm-hmm. Because then that would indicate that Young Living's quality could be potentially no different than a competitor. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of would diminish a little bit of that seed to seal. Right. But we don't know ultimately, because none of that's transparent, but mm-hmm. that's kind of the crux of the reason why we need to understand, because they all kind of build on each other. Because some people are like, well, why do you keep bringing up the percent of the corporately owned, the percent output, and mm-hmm. da-da-da? Because it hinges on this point here, mm-hmm. the essential oil exclusivity. Like if you're giving 50% of your, oils and the farms to other competitors, then it really doesn't mean your oils are any different than anybody else and don't have the superior quality, really, or the world leader in quality, as mm-hmm. As they say. So with doTERRA, it's 16% of that oil is going to other companies and competitors, mm-hmm. But 84% is kept in-house and exclusive to doTERRA, which shows mm-hmm. that vast majority allows them to have a competitive advantage in that regard.
Right, and I think it's important to note that, obviously there's a limited number of growers or plants in certain regions that these plants grow the best, where you can get the highest quality essential oil from the plant due to the soil and the climate. So if you can't get that oil or that frankincense or whatever oil it is because there's not anyone growing it in that region of the world, then you have to go to maybe a less superior source so that you can at least offer that essential oil to your customers. So if you have an exclusive contract with a grower that is in this ideal location that you've partnered with, that you've verified, and the soils and the climate is perfect for that plant, so you're getting this very high quality oil to begin with, and then that's a perfect partnership, and that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, and the higher that percent, the better mm-hmm. the quality that you're going to get from that company. But not knowing means that mm-hmm. it makes all the farm visits and the number of tests that they do and the lack of verification kind mm-hmm. of just up in the air. It's just very questionable because it's not available from an information standpoint.
And we did recently learn that because a grower may sell to another company, because obviously getting 100% is a little difficult to do, and mm-hmm. maybe it can be achieved at some point, doesn't mean if they sell to another company that company uses that oil or has the same standard. So they could buy the same essential oil but not care about the testing, not care
Sure.
about the quality or how it's packaged, or how it's delivered, or there's a lot that goes into it. So you could get one oil from one company and they care and they insist on all these tests, and this other company buys it and they're like, just give us the oil, we don't care, we don't want to pay for the testing, we just give us the oil.
And that could be from the same farm.
It could
right?
be from the same farm.
So it just kind of depends, but without having that number on the front end, it's just a good starting point. Right? Mm-hmm. The next one is verifying the bottle batch number for quality. So that, again, regardless of the farm, it's good to know what percent, are they given to competitors or not, which is really important. Of the amount that's given to a company, mm-hmm. can it be verified? With GCMS testing, with Young Living, it's a question mark because it's not available on their seed to seal website at this time. And with doTERRA, it is available on the Source to You website. There's a drop-down menu for GCMS testing, and you can verify the white numbers on the bottom of the bottle to mm-hmm. get that. Now, some people have to be like a chemist mm-hmm. or a chemistry major to kind of understand it, but at least you have that information for the batch, not just the oil, but for the batch, which is really important.
Right, and that just became available, I think it was last year. So, it is fairly recent. You know, it took a while to be able to offer that, you know, have the website up and running and have all those tests, you know, put on the website. So each person, each customer, when they get the oil and they can look at that batch, they can go in on the website, type it up, and there it is. So, you know, that was a process, but it's now available and should be, you know, each company should strive to be able to do that for their customers, I think.
Yeah, and give a little more peace of mind and verify whatever claims are made with regards to high quality. Regardless if somebody thinks they're a marketing term or not, C2C or CPTG or whatever, it's important to be able to verify that, and you can with doTERRA.
Oh, last one is fair trade wages for all stakeholders. Again, this was an issue or in the trial where with the regards to women and Young Living, that they were not being paid the same fair trade wages as the men in the same position that they held. So we have a question mark for them, and they don't disclose how much they pay their employees or their the partners' farms that they do. There's not disclosure on that. We don't see that there's fair trade wages. I don't know. I could be wrong there. I will double check on that as far as what the website actually says, if they say fair trade wages. So question mark on that, and that was definitely an issue in the court trial and what caused some of the split between the two, the companies or the employees of Young Living originally. And then with doTERRA, it is a yes. They do offer the fair trade wages to their employees, their executives, and also to their partners around the world.
Yeah, so you probably see a pattern here. It's not just, well, it's number one, getting the information available with these topics, and then it's being able to verify that information as well. And so the fact that it's not even there for Young Living is just question marks, right? That's just what we have. But so if doTERRA has that information and you can verify that on their or you can see that on their website, a step further would be to try to verify that as well. And so getting more information. But I feel like the first step to getting it on level playing field is just getting the information for both sides. And then once you have that, then we can go into verification mode of each one of those topics that are mentioned in the future. And so that's going to be real key.
Right. And for me, it's important, I think, with the fair trade wages, you know, not so much in the United States. I feel like there's a lot more opportunity here to, you know, get other jobs. You know, that's my opinion. You could have a different opinion. But what I really, really like is in these third world countries where these poor people that live in their villages, they don't have these opportunities to go and get other jobs from, you know, around the world. They don't have the education to be able to get or to go apply for other jobs. This is their only source of income. This is, you know, one of the very only opportunities to provide income. Otherwise, they're resorted to, you know, getting very, very small, you know, slave wages for their products from either their government or, you know, other people that they sell to. So to be able to have an American company come in and offer them guaranteed fair trade wages throughout the entire year, so that they are always have, you know, the income that they need to provide for their families and you know, build their villages up, have schools and hospitals in their areas, is really important.
Yeah, equal pay for equal work, regardless if you're U.S. or international, is super important. Well, that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button so you can catch more video updates, and also check out some of the links in the description box below so you can check out the details of what we're talking about and kind of do your own research and kind of verify what we're saying.